All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the first podcast of 2019. Ed Namrock Podcast back again. I haven't done one in a while just because holidays, spending money on gifts, doing all kinds of bullshit. You know the drill. Anyway, Happy New Year to everyone. I hope 2019 works out better for you than 2018. I know a lot of people had tough years in 2018 as well as 2017. 2018 showed very little promise. There's hope for you yet. Don't give up. Fuck everybody. Anyway, I couldn't help but to look at the lineup for Coachella. Now, I have not attended Coachella for, I think the last time was, April 2007. And it was when Rage Against the Machine were united. I have not attended since. I really am not a fan of the lineups nowadays, except for the exception of, I think 1 year, Justin Timberlake was supposed to headline and Tool, and I got excited and wound up being a fake. This year's lineup and the previous year just doesn't fancy my cack, man. I don't know. Donald Glover, Childish Gambino is headlining Friday. There's a couple other people on that bill that day. It's Friday, April 12th and 19th. And then Saturday, April 13th and 20th is Tame Impala, Solange, Kid Cudi, which is pretty badass. I would love to see Kid Cudi and Weezer. There's a couple other ones as well. And then Sunday, April 14th and 21st is Ariana Grande, as she likes to pronounce it. Khalid, Zed, Bad Bunny, and a bunch of other people. Playboy Cardi apparently is going to be there. But before you get all fucking Gran Torino on me and say, you know, music is garbage now, whatever, you don't want to do that. You can, you just don't want to do that. One friend of mine who will remain nameless pretty much said, "No, fuck all this music. I got my Black Sabbath. I got my Guns N' Roses. Blah blah blah." That's narrow-mindedness and shallowness. And quite frankly, I think you are a fucking poser of music by saying that. But truth be told is, when I went in 2007 in Coachella, that weekend was fucking spectacular. I don't like to reminisce too much about it because I don't want to be the old man reminiscing about what used to be. And forgive me if I start getting teary-eyed and start sniffling because it's the season for flu and cold. 2007 was the first time me and my then girlfriend, now wife, went to our first big concert, our first big festival. Night one was kind of a crapshoot. We didn't really pay attention simply because we were more focused on, it was our first year dating, so we got to really enjoy ourselves. We stood in a hotel and whatnot. We were looking forward to the last day, which was the Rage Against the Machine show that day. It was awesome. It was frightening at the same time because I have never been in a Rage Against the Machine crowd like that one. That was the first time they played in 7 years, and the entire fucking grass area, the entire floor went apeshit. And I found myself floating in the crowd more than once. A couple of people had to bail out because they were getting claustrophobic and people were getting kind of fucked up, but nonetheless, it was great. I managed to capture some really shitty footage of them playing on my old Nokia N75 smartphone back then. And nonetheless, it was great. But that was the last time I went, because every year after that, I wasn't really interested in the lineup. And that's just me. I am still a fan of music, but I don't know. After that, I got really picky about festivals. But nonetheless, I still love music. And what I really, really wanted to talk about right now is I picked out, somebody asked me like, hey, well, what are your favorite albums of all time? Like, give me your top 10, give me your top 5. That's really hard for me because I have so many. I remember, this is an old man kind of thing, and now I can say I'm an old man, even though I'm too young to be old, too old to be young. But in the 80s and of course the 90s, we used to dub tapes. Someone would buy the album. I would buy pirated cassette tapes from King Taco on 3rd Street, believe it or not. There was this one guy, Paisano, that had Michael Jackson's Bad, Metallica's And Justice for All, and Vanilla Ice, the debut album with Ice Ice Baby and all that shit. I forgot what the name of the album was at the top of my head, but I managed to get 3 cassette tapes for $10. Back then, that was unheard of. And that's how I started growing my music collection. Then came CDs, and then when CDs came around, that changed the whole game. But you needed to get a pretty decent CD player back then because you couldn't jump around because it would skip. So you'd have to get like the Anti-Shock CD player, which is pretty interesting because now that I think about it, even the handheld CD players that they were selling back then, you can really move around. Either you gotta like just kind of keep it stationary and just listen to it. But I can't pick out a top 5. I'll pick out the ones that I feel had a major impact on my musical life and my then musical creation, my musical influence. Nonetheless, I was very, very heavy into, I want to say pop, but I don't want to say pop because I pretty much listened to anything and everything. I didn't want to limit myself. I wanted to get all the flavors of the buffet and then just, you know, get really in tune with what music is all about. But the first album, and I don't want to, here's the thing is I don't want to rank it. I don't want to rank each one. I don't. Because it's unfair to those studio albums that pretty much were my biggest influence. And I don't want to rank them again. I'm gonna reiterate that I don't want to rank them, but I'm gonna talk about them. And the first one I want to talk about is Two Live Crew's 1989's release, As Nasty as They Want to Be. Here's an interesting fact about this album. Two Live Crew's As Nasty as They Want to Be was released on my birthday, February 7th, 1989. I couldn't afford that CD or cassette tape at the time. I think CDs weren't really a popular thing back then. They kind of were, but not really. It was kind of high end, high fidelity that you had to purchase. But I begged my mom to buy me this fucking cassette tape, and she kept saying no because of the album cover. And if you've seen the album cover, it's 4 black chicks with big asses in the front and all the Two Live Crew members right under the legs on the beach. Because it was Miami based, it was pretty much like dirty rap back then. And I liked it. It was cool. And she eventually caved in because she saw we got it for $2 pirated at King Taco, of course. And right away, because what caught my attention on Me So Horny, which is the opening track, is they had samples of Full Metal Jacket, which I owned on VHS because one of my mom's boyfriends at the time was working at a video shop, or owned a video shop, and brought that movie home. And, the rest is history. That's one of Stanley Kubrick's most epic fucking films, man. But the one thing I didn't realize and I didn't read until later is the sex moans that are in the song is from a 1977 film starring Richard Pryor called Which Way Is Up. I did not fucking know that. That is interesting because I would try to scan through Full Metal Jacket trying to find that same exact moan and I never fucking found it. It's so fucking funny. And the entire album from Put Her in the Book, Dick Almighty, Come On Babe, Dirty Nursery Rhymes, that shit just drove my mom fucking insane. She cannot. And this is when we were still living in City Terrace. And then when we had a short stint in South Central, she heard more of this music. And she came to accept that, okay, it's a norm. It's a culture. My son likes to hang out with his black friends, and who gives a fuck? It's all good. It's all good time. So yeah, that would be the main one I can think at the top of my head that really started me off because, I was a curious little boy. I didn't know what these moaning sounds were. In '89, I turned 8 years old. And that's when I started getting into sports and I started getting into music. So that would be the first one I would talk about. The next one that I discovered from my uncle. My uncle pretty much had a series of vinyl and then CD, of course. And I'm snooping through his stuff, and I'm looking at all the crazy album covers that I'm coming across. And I see this really weird kind of like skeleton, kind of like, witch looking figure. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? And I look at it and it says Iron Maiden, the Number of the Beast. And I'm like, holy fuck, what the fuck is this? That album was released a year after I was born in 81, apparently. It was released on March 22nd, 1982. And immediately, I'm like, okay, fuck this. I'm going to play this shit. He wasn't home, so I snooped into his shit and fucking played it. This was a cassette tape, and there was two sides, of course. When one side would end, you would have to flip over the tape and play it. Well, I accidentally started on side 2. This is a fact. And the opening track on side 2 was The Number of the Beast. And I was like, what the fuck is this? This is fucking awesome. My mom's going to shit her pants. And right after that, it was Run to the Hills. I was like, oh, god damn. I'm fucking in love, man. I don't know what it is. It could be genetic. It could be, I don't know. It could be my 55% native Aztec fucking from Mexico, but I loved it. I was obsessed with it. I was like, holy shit. And then I couldn't wait to listen to the other side. The other side had Invaders, Children of the Damned, The Prisoner, 22, Acacia. It was fucking amazing. I couldn't really bring that one home, so I had to dub it and pretty much kind of hide it from my mom, but that didn't last very long because after this next album that I got, she already discovered like, oh shit, okay, this son of a bitch is fucking is listening to devil music, which is what she used to call it, which is funny. All right, so Iron Maiden, Number of the Beast would be another one that really, really, really had an influence on me. And then after that, I started snooping more through his stuff, and I discovered probably my all-time favorite metal band of all time. Nothing compares to this band. I know they're old now, and I pains me to see them live, but that would be Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath's debut studio album was released. It says here it was recorded in October of 1969, and it was released on February 13th, 1970, which is crazy, which is a little less than a week after my birthday. So I fucking first heard this shit, and of course it was a cassette, and it wasn't rewound all the way, and of course again I started on side 2, and in the middle of Evil Woman, is when I heard, the song play, and I was like, fuck, man, this is fucking amazing. And I remember the first time hearing Ozzy's voice going, what the fuck is this, man? This guy, it's like some sort of fucking weird sorcery, and it starts to like really consume you. And then as you're listening to it, I mean, it was only 7 tracks, but on side 2, Warning alone, the I forgot, it's a cover. I forget, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I remember that being almost like fucking 10 minutes, which was crazy. But it's funny because I'm later discovering that there was European editions and then North American editions, which is, I guess my uncle would get all the European shit first because he would shop from this one record store in Santa Ana. I don't know if it's Santa Ana or La Habra, I don't remember. And he would get all the first dibs on the European editions first, which is I think quite frankly were the best ones. I mean, no, not knocking the North American editions, but yeah. So Black Sabbath, that album alone was fucking amazing. Once I discovered them, that was the clincher. That was what got me hooked. Because after that, I discovered. I went and actually tried to shop for cassettes after that. And I'm like, fuck yeah. And I saw this really fucking dope album cover. It looked wicked. I don't even know what the fuck it was, but all it read was Motorhead, no fucking remorse. I said no fucking remorse, but it said Motorhead, no remorse. And that I read later, that was released in September of 84, but right away, that one, I'm like, okay, I'm going to start it off. I'm going to unwrap it. I'm going to put it in the fucking cassette player and play it from the beginning on side A. I make sure side A, boom, right away, Ace of fucking Spades plays. I was like, God damn, dude, I'm hooked. I'm fucking hooked. Because after that was Ace of Spades. It was Motorhead, Jailbait, Stay Clean, Too Late, Killed by Death. And then flip it over and the rest is history. I was like, fuck, man. And then I remember I heard Metallica cover Overkill, and they did a good job, and I listened to that. That was like a previous release. I forgot that was a younger release by Motorhead, and I had to fucking scramble to fucking find that one at the record shop, and I couldn't fucking find it. Then I heard it on, back then it was Pirate Radio 100.3. That shit, I was like, fuck yeah, dude. I had to, like, of course, hold record, hit pause, hold record and play, and wait for it to come on, and boom, time it. So yeah, that got me hooked. So yeah, Motorhead's No Remorse was another one. Again, I'm going through my shopping phase, and now I'm actually starting to buy official, like, non-pirated cassette tapes, and I see the most wicked fucking album cover. And I'm like, what the fuck is this, dude? This is so fucking badass. And it looked like a cemetery, basically. Or like I don't know what it was, kind of like a crop. And there was a bunch of white crosses. And I was like, whoa, what the fuck is this? And believe it or not, this is the first album I bought. I kind of started a little bit late on this band. That would be Metallica's Master of Puppets. I had no idea that I had bought their third fucking album. But shit, I couldn't fathom the fact that I was like, holy fuck, dude, like this is. At first I was kind of turned off, like, wait a minute, why is there acoustic guitars at the beginning of this song? And it was the opening of Battery. But then I fucking heard it and I was like, God damn. It was shit, dude. I couldn't fathom the fact that I was listening to something that was probably the most epic thing I have ever heard. And I get kind of giddy about it because this album, I'm going to tell you guys a short story. This album helped me get through a bullying phase when I was attending El Sereno Junior High. I didn't want to retaliate because my mom said, oh, I'm going to kick your ass if you get fucking in trouble at school, and I'm going to pull your ass out and put you in a fucking charter school. And I was like, oh, what the fuck, dude? I don't want to do that. And I was getting bullied, and then one of my fellow students in PE class where I was getting bullied said, hey, whenever I feel down and whenever I don't, want to forget about shit, I just listen to Metallica. And I was like, oh, Metallica, okay. And that's when I went and found this album. Now, getting bullied and listening to this album isn't exactly the best therapeutic combination, but the song that really clicked in my head when I decided to retaliate was Disposable Heroes. That shit would play in my head immediately, like it was like a light switch. Boom. This guy kept fucking punching me in the face, pulling my shirt off, ripping my shit, taking my backpack, throwing it on the ground. I even ran from him one time in front of everybody and I felt humiliated. But one day I just decided to fuck his ass up. But I wound up getting in trouble. So, nonetheless, during that really kind of like morbid time of me getting in trouble, getting suspended from school, Welcome Home Sanitarium really kind of, put me at ease. And then that's when I discovered other albums by Metallica. And the rest is history. That's my second all-time favorite metal band besides Black Sabbath. So yeah, Master of Puppets, released March 3rd, 1986. I didn't discover them until 1992. So then after that, and the same year actually at El Sereno Junior High, there was this thing called the Metal Tree. It was basically a tree where all the quote unquote metalheads would hang out. Everyone had long hair. Everyone dressed in black every day. Everyone had a fucking band t-shirt. You had to get initiated or whatever. I tried hanging out with them, but I could tell like, oh, I wasn't one of their kind, whatever, because I couldn't afford a t-shirt at the time. I don't know. My mom didn't want to buy me that because this next album that I discovered, I wanted to buy the t-shirt as well. My mom said, nope, you are not wearing that to school. And that was Slayer's Rain and Blood. Slayer, of course, is known for a badass logo with a pentagram behind the name. And the Rain and Blood cover was pretty fucking crazy looking. And they had that on a t-shirt. And I really, really, really wanted that fucking t-shirt. So I was seeking validation from these metalheads over in El Sereno Junior High in the fall of 1992. It was 92, no, 19, yeah, I want to say 92, 93, around there. and it didn't happen. So, but whatever. It was weird. But Rain and Blood, that album fucking speaks to it for itself with me. I mean, that shit opens up with Angel of Death, and then Piece by Piece, Necrophobic, Altar of Sacrifice, Jesus Slaves, Criminally Insane, Reborn, Epidemic, Postmortem, and of course, Rain and Blood. Yeah. And then there was some reissue bonus tracks that I never got to hear till later. There was Aggressive Perfector and Criminally Insane. But that fucking album, man, just really did it. Really fucking. So I'm going through this metal phase, right? So I'm discovering Slayer, all this shit. And then that it's weird because that same fucking year in 93. I was listening to KNAC 105.5. I think it was 105.5 at the time. And for some fucking reason, late night, they decided to play this uncensored version of this track. And as soon as I heard it, and I'm sitting up for this because to this day, this band has been the biggest influence, not only in my lyrical content, but pretty much my inquisitiveness with our society today. Not taking no for an answer and asking all the questions you can from multiple sources just to not be a fucking yes man or yes woman. I remember my mom set up an alarm clock for me to wake up to school and next to my couch because I didn't sleep on a bed until I want to say till I got to summer camp at Whittier College for football camp, which was 1999. So I never slept on a bed. Always slept on a couch. My mom always slept on a bed, but I was listening to the radio late night and it was around, I want to say close to midnight. It was a little after the week of my birthday, 93. And I'm hearing the song and I'm like, this is fucking different. It's rock. It's fucking heavy shit, but what are these vocals? And I hear this fucking wicked ass fucking guitar solo. I'm like, what the fuck is that? That sounds different. I'm like, whoa, this is weird. And then I don't know if they just decided to play the uncensored version or what, but I'm like, what the fuck? All I hear was, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. I heard that shit repeatedly and I was like, whoa, what the fuck is this? I have never, ever, and you know what's fucked up is, the song was over and they cut to a fucking commercial. So they never announced the fucking name of the band. And I went to school the next day going, whoa, dude, I heard this fucking song. They kept saying, fuck you, I won't do what to tell me. And they're looking at me like you just discovered one of the best upcoming fucking quote unquote rock bands, metal bands, whatever, of this generation. And no one was really into them because it was kind of cliche to be into this band. But I was like, fuck all y'all, dude. I'm getting into this band now. And that was Rage Against the Machine's debut album. The one with the fucking Vietnamese Buddhist monk in Saigon fucking self-immolating himself, basically pouring gas and burning himself. My mom heard this and she thought for a fact, she's like, wait a minute, this is much worse than the music you've been listening to. Why do you want me to buy you this? She heard, because the articulation and the clarity of the words, especially when he was saying fuck, shit, all this shit, it was clear to her, like, wait a minute, this is a lot of profane fucking bullshit for my kid to be listening to. But I begged her, I'm like, Mom, please buy me this fucking album. And I'll love you forever, more than it did 5 minutes ago. And she fucking bought it for me. And I believe the one tape that I had bought had all the fucking lyrics in it in the end sleeve. So I memorized all of them, except for, I think, Settle for Nothing, because that's my least favorite song, to be honest with you. But Bomb Track, Killing in the Name, which is the first song I fucking fell in love with. Take the Power Back, which still to this day speaks to me. Settle for Nothing, Bullet in the Head, Know Your Enemy, which it took me like 20 years to figure out that it was Maynard from Tool in on that song on the breakdown. Wake Up, Fistful of Steel, Township Rebellion, and of course Freedom. And Freedom was interesting because I learned about Leonard Peltier and his situation with his fucking case and being incarcerated for something pretty fucked up, but I won't get into that. But yeah, those are the most influential fucking albums growing up, actually, you know, because in my adult life, then I had different ones, like especially Slipknot. Slipknot is like second to my Rage Against the Machine. And I know there's a lot of Slipknot haters, so fuck you. I don't give a fuck. They are one of the most unique and elaborate and talented fucking motherfuckers I've ever, and there's 9 of them, which is crazy, and one of them passed away. And then, of course, Joey Jordison is no longer the drummer for them. It's Jay Weinberg, which is Max Weinberg's son, who's just as badass. But that band I discovered right out of high school, and they changed my fucking musical life for forever. To this day, I still listen to them to this day. They for sure have been a major fucking influence in my musical life. After that, it's probably still Metallica. I want to say Linkin Park, but I discovered them pretty late. But I'm still a Linkin Park fan to this day. Rest in peace, Chester. And of course, White Zombie. Then Rob Zombie. And then Deftones. And then Korn. And then for a short stint there was Limp Bizkit until they, I don't know, I guess Terry Date got a hold of them and something happened. Because their first record with Ross Robinson was incredible. And then it took off from there. But that, I just named you all the albums that, quite frankly, had a major influence as a child leading up to my adult life. So, and I didn't even name the punk rock albums that I listened to, from Black Flag, Minor Threat, Sex Pistols, even fucking Subhumans, which is weird. Subhumans was one of my favorite fucking crust punk bands. And I discovered them at high school, which is really cliche because there was a group of punkers back then, and I hung out with most of them. But yeah, that's all I wanted to really talk about. That was interesting because I never really sat down and talked about my musical influences, and I wanted to do so because everyone's wondering, oh yeah, your playlist on Spotify consists of all kinds of shit, but what really were you listening to back then or now? And I just, there's a lot more influences like Pantera's Vulgar Display of Power, Cowboys from Hell. There's just so many. Even fucking Dio. There's more. I can't, like I said, I can't rank them. So anyway, that's all I got. Again, Happy New Year. Shout out to
all my boys at and girls at soundfight.com. All my peeps at SAE Los Angeles. Happy New Year. I'll be seeing you more this year. I will be doing more episodes. That's one of my resolutions. And that's all I got. I will see you next time. Take care of yourself and keep listening to music.